he told the devotees, bring Sridhar. Sridhar was also a fruit seller, who was also very simple and very poor. And when Nimai was younger, before he began the Sankirtan movement formally, nobody knew who he really was. Every day, he would go to Kolhapur Sridhar and bargain for bananas and banana leaves and banana roots and banana bark. Sridhar was so honest, like Yudhisthira. He would charge the least possible amount to each of his customers. And half of whatever little he earned, he would worship Mother Ganga. Because Mother Ganga is descending from Krishna's lotus feet to spread grace throughout the world. He was so poor. Nobody even knew his name. They just called him Kolavecha, banana seller. Nimai would ask, how much is banana? He would give a fair price. Nimai would say, I will give you half. He'd say, half? How will I survive? Nimai said, then I will take it for nothing. And Sridhar would hold on to it, and Nimai, and they would be pulling and pulling, and Nimai would say, I'm a Brahmin. You worship Mother Ganga? Don't you know that I am the source of Mother Ganga? She is my devotee. And Sridhar would block his ears and say, you are so restless. How can you say like this? And Sridhar would always give the bananas and the leaves to Nimai for either half the price or mostly for free. Every day, Nimai would argue the price of bananas with Sridhar for 2 hours. This was his regular life. And Sridhar would sit on the ground with his little cloth and whatever few bananas and leaves he had, and he would just be looking down the road, waiting for Nimai. And if Nimai was late, his heart would be beating and beating with ecstatic love and separation. Where is Nimai? Where is Nimai? He loved Nimai more than he loved his own Krishna, but he didn't know he was Krishna. Once Nimai said to him, why do you worship Krishna? What is he doing for you? Look around. Those who are atheists and those who worship devas for material purposes, they have nice houses, they have nice clothes, they have good food. Your house is a simple one-room shack made out of straw with a leaky roof. You have no furniture. Your clothes are just one set of rags. You don't even have money for a needle and thread. Whenever there's a hole, you just tie a knot to the two sides, and I see at least 12 knots. And your body is emaciated, thin because of lack of food. And yet all night long, you just chant loudly Krishna's names. And the people around, they would become very disturbed. He was keeping them up with the chanting. They would throw a vegetable at him and say, shut up. He's just screaming because of hunger. But Sridhar would be so happy. His wealth was in loving devotional service and complete attachment to the chanting of the holy names. Nimai said, Actually, you are a very wealthy person with a great treasure. And someday I am going to expose you. You are cheating everyone by pretending to be such a poor man. Sridhar said, whatever you see is what I am. Why are you talking like this? So when Sridhar was brought before the throne of Vishnu at the house of Srivas, Nimai revealed a beautiful form to Sridhar. He said, Sridhar, just see. He saw the form of Krishna with the complexion of a tamal tree, the beautiful peacock feather in his hair that was curling beautifully around his moon-like face, his lotus-like eyes, his nose like a sesame flower, his lips like red like the bimba fruit. He was standing in a threefold bending form. His dhoti like lightning was illuminating all directions. There was a garland of Vajayanti Mala that was reaching below his knees. There was beautiful ornaments and a garland of beautiful flowers of Sri Braj Bhumi. And beside him was Lord Balaram, standing with a complexion like a white spring cloud. And around Krishna and Balaram in the beautiful land of Vrindavan, he saw Brahma and Shiva offering prayers, Ananta Shesha making an umbrella behind the Lord. He saw Narada Muni, the four Kumaras, and Sukadev Goswami humbly bowing down and praying. He saw limitless, beautiful, beautiful divine gopis and ladies offering prayers to the Lord. Sridhar fell unconscious. And the Lord spoke his name. Sridhar, ask for any benediction. I will fulfill your desire. Sridhar said, my Lord, I only want to be the servant of your servant and always remember you. I do not want anything. The Lord said, but I want to give you something. I will give you palaces, land, a kingdom like Indra. Ask. Sridhar, who was living in total poverty materially, he said, I don't want any of those things. I will give you the 8 mystic cities. You will be able to perform incredible miracles to fulfill all your desires. Ask. Sridhar said, these yogic cities will simply be a disturbance and a distraction to my mind. I will give you liberation from suffering, elevation to the spiritual world. Ask. He said, my Lord, don't tempt me like this. I don't want anything. I only want to please you. Lord Chaitanya said, it will please me if you ask for a benediction. Ask. He said, if I must ask for something, then just give me this one thing. Let the beautiful vision of that little child Nimai coming to steal my bananas be forever within my heart. Just come and steal my bananas. And let me always remember you in this way. When he spoke like that, all the devotees began to cry. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself began to cry. He said, Sridhar, offer prayers to me. Sridhar said, I'm not very literate. I don't know how to offer prayers. He said, just speak what's in your heart. And as soon as he opened his mouth, Nimai sent Gata Saraswati on his tongue. And I'm going to end in a couple minutes, so I'm going to be real brief. He said, pure devotional service is forever within your heart. You are the Lord of Vrindavan, the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Lord of Goloka Vrindavan, and you have descended into Navadvip to spread that pure devotional service to everyone. And I am so foolish, I didn't even recognize you. But you have come to show how you are controlled by the love of your devotee. Bhishma defeated you and caused you to break your own promise because of his devotion. Yashoda Mai, she bound you by a rope, controlling you with the rope of her love. Satyabhama Devi, by her devotion, she had you doing everything she wanted you to do. And in Vrindavan, the cowherd boys like Sri Dhamma, they defeat you in their games, and just to show the whole world forever that you have been defeated, you carry your friends on your shoulders. This is the most intimate truth of all the knowledge of all the Vedas and all the scriptures, that the supreme controller of all controllers, Sarveshwareshwaram, is controlled by the simple, pure love of his devotee. Sridhar only wanted to be the servant of the servant of the servant of those who have that love. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, I give you this benediction of ecstatic love for me forever. And sometime later, when there was that glorious Harinam Sankirtan procession with hundreds and thousands of people to the house of Chandkazi, and he surrendered to Lord Chaitanya, it was the ultimate victory of all victories. How did Lord Chaitanya celebrate? He went to Simantadvip, to the little grass hut of Kolavecha Sridhar, and he saw an old, dented iron pot sitting outside of his his house. That pot was just filled with some water that Sridhar used for the most menial purposes. He drank from it, he cleaned with it. Vrindavan Das Thakur says that even the most desperate thief would not even place his glance on that worthless pot. But Lord Chaitanya saw it the most precious treasure in all of creation. He went right up to that pot and began to drink the water from it. And as he was drinking, Sridhar saw this. He said, now I am dead. I've drunk from that pot. I've cleaned myself with that pot. Don't drink it. And Lord Chaitanya was drinking and drinking, and as he was drinking, tears were pouring from his eyes. And he said, I have not tasted true ecstatic love for Krishna until today when I drank the water from Sridhar's pot. Lord Chaitanya revealed the true wealth, the real treasure. Money, fame, prestige, knowledge, followers. None of this can satisfy the heart. Only humility and true devotion to Krishna. Only love for God can satisfy the heart. Because patram pushpam palam toyam, only that love can satisfy Krishna. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself identified himself as a fruit seller. When he was in Varanasi, he said, I have all these fruits, the fruits of prema bhakti, love for Krishna. And I will distribute them freely. But I have so many fruits and I only have 2 hands. How many can I distribute? Whoever is my devotee, help me distribute these fruits of love of God by spreading the glories of the holy name. Lord Chaitanya literally was begging us to take the fruits of love of God and begging us to help distribute these fruits of love of God. At Radha Damodar Temple in Vrindavan, at the Samadhi Mandir and Bhajan Kutir of Sri Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Srila Prabhupada was preparing himself to distribute these fruits of love of God. Lord Chaitanya told that pilgrim Brahmaj, this Sankirtan movement will spread to every country of the world. Srila Prabhupada, 50 years ago this year, departed from Vrindavan Dham to fulfill that prophecy. That was over 500 years when it was spoken. On the order of his guru, with the grace of the whole parampara and the mercy of Rupa Goswami, he traveled to all the countries practically of the world, directly and indirectly. He traveled around the world 12 times. And he made his international headquarters in Sri Mayapur Dham, the place where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established the Sankirtan movement. And one of the deepest desires that Srila Prabhupada had, Prabhupada's desires were Lord Chaitanya's desires, Lord Nityananda Prabhu's desires, all our previous acharyas' desires, and especially desire of his own Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. What was a simple little rice paddy has now become the most glorious place of pilgrimage. Prabhupada started in Mayapur with a little straw hut like Kolavecha Sridhar. And now tens and millions of people are coming there every year. But Srila Prabhupada wanted to build a temple in Mayapur, the temple of the Vedic planetarium, as his offering to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to his Guru Maharaj, a temple that would attract people from all over India and from all over the world to come and recognize the true wealth of prema bhakti that Lord Chaitanya came to give. And Srila Prabhupada, he begged us to help him spread this love of Krishna throughout the world. And truly, one of his greatest wishes was this temple to be built. He personally requested Ambarish Prabhu, help me build this temple. And Ambarish Prabhu gave about $20 million to begin it. But you see, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna doesn't want it just be done by one or two people. We all have the opportunity to participate. Every single one of us. Whether we're Hanuman or a little squirrel or spider. Whether we're giving millions of dollars or a few paisa. According to our means, we could participate. And that's beautiful. Now, in our temple of Radha Gopinath and in our yatras, we have a rule that we don't do any fundraising. But because this project is so dear to Srila Prabhupada and so important to the world, Nityananda Prabhu could foresee this temple coming up. So we are willing to break our rules for this higher purpose. And today we have Radha Jivan Prabhu and Braj Vilas Prabhu, who are traveling around the world with Lord Nityananda Prabhu's padukas, his holy shoes from the Panchatattva in Mayapur. They're coming as beggars, begging for us to receive mercy. The mercy of participating in whatever way we can. So with these words, we would like to invite Radha Jivan Prabhu and Braj Vilas Prabhu to come and tell us about the Temple of Vedic Planetarium and to tell us how each and every one of us, we can help. And my humble request is, for the glory of your own soul, for the glory of Srila Prabhupada's dream, and for the glory of the whole world, let us try to help whatever way we can and spread the chanting of the holy names. Please chant 10 million times louder. 100 million times louder. Today is Diwali, the day of Damodar Leela. After this wonderful, exciting, soul-stirring presentation of the Temple of Vedic Planetarium, we will together sing Damodarastakam. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj ki. I was asking His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj to sit here beside me. I sit here in front of you this evening in fear and in hesitation. fundraising is a very sensitive activity. Somehow or the other, the service has been given to me. I understand to a certain extent the importance of this project, the TOBP in Sridham, Mayapur, how dear it was to Srila Prabhupada, how Audarya Dham, the most merciful Dham in Kali Yuga, Sridham Mayapur, can bless and liberate the sins of the living entities and award them profuse bhakti. All of you sitting here are family members. This is a discussion amongst all the family members, and we all are here to take up the responsibility of fulfilling this ardent desire of Srila Prabhupada of giving Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the world. In one village, there was one time a famine and there was no rain. So villagers went to the Acharya of the village and they said, can you please do something so that we can have rain? And the Acharya said, let us make a very big yajna, and with the yajna's performance, there will definitely be rain. So next day, a very big yajna was arranged. Thousands and thousands of villagers, they all came to participate in the yajna. The Acharya was sitting on the dais, watching all the villagers. But amongst those thousands of villagers, there was one girl, and she came to the yajna with an umbrella. So the Acharya, he said that even though so many of you have come to participate in the yajna, there is only one personality who has complete faith that this yajna will bring rain, and therefore she has come prepared with an umbrella. Dear devotees, I humbly request you, please listen to this presentation tonight with that faith in your heart that Srila Prabhupada's desire of making this temple manifest, of glorifying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead incarnate in Kali Yuga for the purpose of liberating and profusely giving indiscriminate mercy to every living entity of Kali Yuga. So many of us have come from such far and distant places here to Sri Vrindavan Dham in the month of Kartik to associate with one another, but first and foremost to receive mercy of the owner of the Dham, and that is Srimati Radharani. In Braj Bhumi, she is the Maharani. She is the one who is first and foremost, and she profusely gives mercy to every living entity who comes here and begs for it. Tomorrow is Govardhan Puja. I want to tell you a small story about the supremacy of Srimati Radharani. After Krishna had lifted Govardhan hill, the Brajbasis were very proud of Krishna. But they are also Brajbasis. They love to take credit for everything. So in Barsana, one day, the Brajbasis were sitting and they were discussing amongst themselves the Leela of Krishna. the older ladies, they started to claim that Krishna was able to lift Govardhan hill because they were the ones who fed him butter and made him strong. So they said it was our butter due to which the Govardhan hill was lifted. And then the elder men were sitting there and they said, wait a second. We also put our lathi, our sticks, and it was the strength of our sticks that Krishna was able to lift Govardhan hill. Just then, the gopis inside the houses were listening to these conversations where men and women were taking credit. And so from inside the house they spoke up. They were all Radharani's Sakhis. And they said, wait a second. Do you not know that Krishna is Ek Prana Do Dehi? Krishna and Radha are one. And they have manifested as two in order to do Leela. And Radharani has manifested from the left side of Krishna. So Krishna, he lifted Govardhan hill with his left finger. So that was Radharani's finger. It wasn't even Krishna who lifted Govardhan hill. Kachu Makhan ko bal badhyo, Kachu Gopan kini sahai, Balihari Shri Radhika Girbar liyo uthai. So this is the way we always relish the supremacy of Srimati Radharani as the Swamini, as the one who is always taking care of the living entities and her devotees. In the same respect, there is a small Leela I heard from the Brajvasis. One time Srimati Radharani, she was a very young girl and she used to visit Nandagaon from Barsana very often to play with Gopal. One time, Yashoda Maya, out of her affection, she invited Srimati Radharani to spend the night in Nandagaon. So taking permission from her parents, Rishabhana Baba, Kirti Maya, she takes a few Sakhis and goes to Nandagaon in the evening. Yashoda Maya is giving her so much pampering, putting her on the lap, feeding her with her own hands, puts her to sleep at night very comfortably. And next morning, Radharani wakes up very early and she goes out into the courtyard of the palace of Nanda Baba. And she is running around here and there with her little pache, her ankle bells going chum, chum, chum everywhere, watching the chirping of the birds and the beautiful morning. And then to her greatest pleasure, from the corner of her eye, she sees Gopal, who is sitting on the lap of his father Nanda Baba. And there is a big line of so many beggars. And one by one, Gopal with his little hands is distributing alms, clothing to some, food to the other, whatever they needed, he is fulfilling their desires, he is giving. And that sight pleased Srimati Radharani so much that my beloved Gopal is so charitable, he is so merciful that he is giving mercy to the people who are coming and begging for it. But that very moment, she saw that in that long line, there were a few people who were being sent back without receiving any mercy, any kripa from Gopal. And that made her very upset. That why is Gopal discriminating and not giving his kripa to everyone? She goes back to Barsana. The parents are waiting to ask how her trip to Nandagaon was. And she is very upset and angry. She tells her father that you must return back to Nandagaon with me immediately. I have a complaint against Krishna. Baba is sitting Krishna is sitting on the lap, and she asks this question, that why are you not giving your kripa, your mercy, to everyone? I saw a few people in the line were being sent back without your mercy. To that, Krishna explains. He says, those that were being sent back, they were so poor, so wretched, that they didn't even have a container. They had no patra in which I could put my mercy, and therefore I sent them back to go bring the patra. And Radharani said, no, whether they have patra or they do not have patra, indiscriminately, you must give your kripa to every living entity who stretches his hand out to you. So Nanda Baba started to laugh because Radharani was small and she was asking for something impossible. But Krishna became very grave. He closed his eyes and he meditated on the compassionate nature of Srimati Radharani towards the living entities. And he made a sankalpa in himself that one day in Kali Yuga, I will come, I will incarnate in the mood, in the heart, in the compassion of Srimati Radharani, where I will give my mercy to living entities, whether they have the patrata, whether they do not have the patrata. And that was Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dear devotees, it is us Gaudiya Vaishnavas, due to the mercy of Gaudiya Acharyas, who have taken up the same compassionate mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who have traveled to cities, to materialistic places, and as far as the Western countries, in order to indiscriminately offer the compassion, the kripa of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is our duty to fulfill each and every desire of our acharyas. Srila Prabhupada was one time asked, Srila Prabhupada, so many instructions are given by you. How can we simplify these instructions and follow you? And he gave one answer. He said, Mahajana yena katha sapantha. You simply follow in the footsteps of Mahajans and you will be on the right path. So tonight, this is a surprise for all of you. Maharaj is giving nectarian katha, so much ras is there. The management today, they were very apprehensive that suddenly the TOVP team wishes to come and change the subject, where there is an asking for extreme surrender from each and every individual devotee who considers himself follower of Srila Prabhupada, follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Together, we have to offer this temple to Srila Prabhupada. One time, in the kingdom of Vikramaditya, almost 3,000 years ago, there was a goldsmith who came with 3 beautiful murtis, statues. And he told the king, he said, dear king, all these 3 murtis are exactly alike and they weigh the same in gold, but yet they are different in value. I want some intelligent person in your court to be able to tell me the difference in the murtis. So many goldsmiths were called, experts were called, nobody could differentiate from one murti to another. Finally, Kalidas, he was a member of his court, the great poet Vaishnava Kalidas, he was invited. And he inspected the murtis, asked for a gold thread. He put the one thread through the ear hole of one of the murtis, and then putting it through, it came out through the other. Kalidas told the king, he said, "O king, this golden murti, it is worth paisa, because it signifies that person who hears good instruction from one ear and takes it out from the other. The second murti, he pierced the ear with the same gold thread, and the gold thread turned around and came out of the mouth. Kalidas said, this murti is worth 1,000 gold coins because it signifies that person who hears good instructions and goes out and tells others. The third murti, when he pierced it, it turned around and went inside the murti's heart. Kalidas said, kindly excuse me, O king, but if you were to sell your entire kingdom, you would not be able to pay the price of this murti because it signifies that personality who hears good instructions, brings it to his heart and immediately acts upon it. So such is the value of hearing good instruction, keeping it in the heart and acting on it. This evening, I do not have much time. We are all constrained with time, whether we do good things or bad things. In a few minutes, I wish to explain to you, to inspire you. Your devotion is your own inspiration. I am only trying to spark it. Srila Prabhupada in 1972 was the first Gaur Purnima festival. 15-20 American and Canadian disciples were sitting. In the month of January was his Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja celebration. Srila Prabhupada, with great enthusiasm, was sitting and glorifying his Gurudev as to how many works Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj did in order to establish Sanatana Dharma. And in the glorification, Srila Prabhupada, he paused and then he made a statement. He said, all Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas have done something very special in Sridham Mayapur as their personal offering to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He cited examples. He said, Bhakti Vinod Thakur Maharaj, who was a magistrate, who wrote so many books, who revived Gaudiya Vaishnavism, but he went door to door in Calcutta, even though he was a magistrate, and begged money from Grihasthas, and he built the Yogapeeth, the birthsite of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because that was his personal offering to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Mayapur. Then Srila Prabhupada continued. He said, my Guru Maharaj, in a very short period of time, he built 67 mathas, temples all over India. But he built the largest one in Sridham Mayapur and called it his headquarters because that was my Guru Maharaj's personal Shraddhanjali